So why set goals? Goals bring intentionality into your life. If you write your goal on paper, then you're about 25% done. If you write very smart goals, then you're around 50% done in terms of what you ought to be able to do. Hi everyone, this is Saved by Nobel, the Learning and Growth podcast. I'm your host, Dennis Nyanja.
And I'm your host, Vicky Ngetich.
In Saved by Nobel, we cover all topics that Africans living in Africa would want to hear if they're really interested in learning and growth. I know we have our own unique African life that we have to go through. And so some of the topics that we do cover in this podcast include things that we are both passionate about, you and I, Vicky, including finance, mentorship, networking, things that we find to be important when we think about our hustle, our bread and butter. But other things that we would also cover during this show include uniquely African topics like side hustles, family, black tax, things that, in January for the East Africans, and so things that also are uniquely African in their own way. And so, Vicky, I'm very excited about this show. What are we going to be covering today?
I'm also very excited. It's a very interesting topic that is quite dear to me, and it may sound complex to people. And the title today is Personal Balance Scorecard. I would admit for sure that initially when I heard of Balance Scorecard, I thought it was a very complex strategic metric tool that organizations use to identify, improve the internal operations as well as optimization of their outputs. But I believe Dennis is going to unpack this complex topic today in a way that is palatable to our audience. So Dennis, I know you mentioned that you've had your balance scorecard for some time now. Maybe you can tell us for how long and just break it down for us. What are we going to cover under the balance scorecard?
First of all, I'm intimidated by that introduction. The bar has been set so high. I think, yes, you're right, Vicky. The balance scorecard is a management tool. I don't know which of these business schools introduced it a couple of years ago, but it's been used more in terms of setting strategy in a corporate setting. And you see, even if you Google, balance scorecard, you're going to see all of these experts go for training and charge you a lot of money to be able to do a balance scorecard. In my previous workplace, I did one for my team. In my current workplace, we are using it as a performance metric as well. And so it is very much used in a corporate setting.
Okay.
But for today's topic, fortunately, and managing expectation, I'm going to be guiding us through how to do a personal balance scorecard.
Okay.
Now, I have been doing one for the last 13 years,
Wow.
Vicky, believe it or not. In the final year of my undergrad course, I attended this class, actually right after my first service when you go to church, first service. It was Sunday school church, really. But my mentor, and I have to give credit here, his name is Maurice Newa. He had a class that has actually inspired this show, where he would give us tools that he was learning from his own corporate setting that he thought, you know what, I need to go and tell these kids about this so that they can be really apply it. And so this show is actually a dedication to the work that Neo actually did in my life. So we are going to be covering personal balance scorecard, and we are going to be using you as a guinea pig here. Guinea pig in the sense that we want to be able to make it very personalized, very practical in terms of how we would go about setting your own goals. So a balance scorecard is something I'm really, really excited about taking our audience through today.
Thank you, Dennis, for breaking down what a balance scorecard is to our audience. I think the other question I would have for you is, why would one have a balance scorecard? And also, as you expound on that, maybe you can give us some basics of setting goals. Yes.
Yeah. So I think let me start from your last question, Vicky. Why set goals? I believe personally, and having done goal setting through this particular tool in the last 13 years, that it has been one key thing that has differentiated me in terms of my career. I am fairly accomplished when you look at the last 13 years of what I've been doing in terms of my professional career. And I like to think that I've been average, only that I've been very intentional. So why set goals? Goals bring intentionality into your life. If you write your goal on paper, then you're about 25% done. If you write very smart goals, then you're around 50% done in terms of what you ought to be able to do. So goal setting is actually very important because it gets you 50% there if you do it in a smart way, 25% there if you just write it down on paper. Now, why a balance scorecard over other tools? I don't think, everybody has their own tools and, do whatever fits you. For me, why I found a balance scorecard to be useful is that it has enabled me to carry other aspects of my life beyond what people would think their goals are, which is typically career, into how I think about achievement. A personal balance scorecard talks about other aspects. The most common ones, which we're going to cover, is career, of course, but it has elements of personal growth, relationships, etc. And I like to think that, my 13 years has also kind of like juggled and balanced all these other aspects of life.
Yes.
And then the third thing, why a balance scorecard is, as I mentioned, this is something that has been taught in business schools, applied in the most sophisticated of companies to be able to drive strategic value. And I'll think about how it would come into your personal life and drive you as an individual. As I said, I'm an average person who's very intentional. And so this is, for me, a powerful tool to be able to bring a lot of value to our listener.
Okay. Fantastic, Dennis. I really like the part that you said that your goals have to be smart. And maybe for our audience who don't know what smart means, it means it has to be specific, measurable, accurate, realistic, and time-bound. So I'm sure you're going to break further or discuss further to our audience what time-bound means, and you'll break it into short-term, long-term, and maybe we'll give examples to our audience to understand how that works.
Yep. Yeah, and I must say, I am passionate about setting goals. Some people think I'm crazy, but I think that is one of the values of a manager. If you look at Drucker's 5 principles of management, performance measurement and target setting is actually one of them. And it is a very important skill, even if you're doing other aspects of your life, to make sure that you have very smart goals. Now, I promised you, Vicky, that I'm going to use you as a student for us to be able to go through the personal balance scorecard for our audience.
Yes.
And I promise we will not get so personal if you allow me. But let's start with the basics first of all. Number one, we have to determine what a time horizon is. I know we're in Q4 of 2023, and it's actually very good timing that we're actually doing this show because it's going to for the audience who actually take action, they're going to use it in 2024. But you have to actually determine your time horizon. Now, Vicky, take us back to 8 years. You talked about 2015 when you actually started doing this.
Yes.
What was your time horizon then? What's your time horizon now?
That's a good one, Dennis. And just an FYI, as you mentioned, I've had a balance scorecard for the past 7 years now. Back in 2015, my time horizon was quite short term. I was trying to be intentional, but it was at a very early stage of my life and even career. So I only used to work with very short term goals.
Give us a number.
Say 6 months.
6 months. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. And that worked for you?
That worked for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is it now?
Well, right now, you can attest to this. We were in some event with Dennis, and he eavesdropped and saw me reviewing my 5-year plan, and he was quite impressed. So, yes. So right now, I work with 5 to 10-year plans. I also still have short-term plans, 3 months, 6 months, but I now have a better vision of up to 10 years.
Perfect. And I think what you're trying to say is that this is a muscle that you actually create over time. So you start short term, and then over time you kind of like move. It's like going to the gym. You start with 10 minutes, then you go into 20 minutes, and then you run a marathon eventually. Right? So start with a time horizon that is actually comfortable with you and make sure that you know how to set the goal. Now, Vicky, I know we really talk about career in this podcast, but when you think about a personal balance scorecard, I know it is balanced.
Yes.
This name balance,
Yes.
what does it actually mean for you?
Balance basically means having equal measure of everything. So if you want to grow your career, then are you at a place that you want to be, or are you heading to the right direction? So basically means you may never have everything in equal measure, but trying to maintain whatever you need in life.
Very true.
Yes.
And so that is actually why this is a very powerful tool. It has the name balance in it. Beyond career, which we're going to also define as we go along. There are other aspects like your finances. Oh, by the way, did you know that your career and your finances are very, very different things, right? There are people who, amen, I'll get there one day, who just work because they want to do something, but they have the money, right?
Yes.
And so those are different aspects, right? You have your relationships. We are an African podcast for the African relationships, but very important for us, right? It's about taking your relationship with you as you go into the journey. It can be family, it can be friends. We have personal growth, which is also what this podcast is about. How do you develop this engine? You're the engine of your life. You need to actually develop yourself. We have other aspects that, depending on what is important to you, that you can actually choose from. But remember, the four basic ones you're going to cover is your career, your finances, your personal growth, and what is the fourth one that I said?
Spirituality.
I didn't say spirituality.
Relationships, career.
Relationships, exactly. Oh, maybe you meant relationship with God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So let's cover the one that people like to set goals sometimes because they're forced with their in their work context to set.
Yes.
Let's start with career. Now, when you think about career, Vicky, what comes to mind?
In a very simple terms, career is what I do on a daily basis. What gives me my daily bread.
What gives you daily bread?
Yes.
So it can be, for you,
it can be sales and marketing, being a doctor, being a driver, whatever you do.
Yeah.
That's your career.
That's your career.
Yes.
It can also be your job.
Yes.
You know people.
Yes.
People talk about job
And career.
and then they talk about career.
Yes.
And we use this example to actually broadly define what career could be, right? I believe in most contexts, career is actually used to talk about what you do professionally, right? It could be politics. It could be whatever it is that you want to be able to do. It can also be your job,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Most people who are in jobs want to eventually move to careers.
Absolutely.
And it could be that they want to be able to move into a business. It could be that they want to be their own boss. So whatever they do that they really feel the satisfaction for, we are going to cover all of that in terms of career goals, right? Now, for the purpose of this, let's use you, and I know you're in a professional context. You shared with me a very interesting story about how you pivoted very early in life.
Yes.
From being a what did you call it?
Medical scientist.
Medical,
scientist, yes.
Yeah. You are a scientist, and I hear that you're doing sales right now. So tell me about, at that point in time, let's talk about Vicky. Year 3 or 1 year before Vicky graduated, you had a career goal, right?
Yes.
What was your career goal? And I imagine that you are a student, maybe being a student was a career, but you wanted to do something.
Yes.
What was your career goal at that particular point in time?
Good question, Dennis. So about 10 years ago, 2 years before I did graduate, I wanted to work in top tier hospitals. So that was my main goal then. And I knew after I finished campus, I was going to have the right papers for me to be able to position myself in top tier hospitals in Nairobi. So that was my goal then. Just finish campus and start looking for work in the top tier hospital.
And so were you doing another paper outside your undergrad degree, or it was just your undergraduate degree?
So for then, I was just doing my technical course, which was medical laboratory science.
It was medical laboratory science.
Yes.
So your career goal, being a student, is to get good grades.
Yes.
In the course that you're actually doing. All right? Now, let's call that your objective. Or let's call that your main goal. Now, your main goal is followed by your sub goal.
Yes.
Right? What would be your sub goal maybe 1 year before graduating campus? What were you thinking back then?
So my sub goal was as much as I was going to have my degree, I also needed to have hands-on experience. So I then did apply for internships to go and volunteer, do volunteering kind of work and just get used to the work environment. So then I did apply for internships in 2 hospitals, Nairobi, and it gave me that experience to be able to understand how the hospital setup looks like.
Perfect. Now, you want to be able to graduate and to be able to get into a good hospital. You say you need practical experience to be able to get there as a sub goal. And now imagine you are now, before you actually take that action, and you're going to talk about the last thing is action. I imagine you don't have any connections at that particular point in time. What specific action do you take in the next week or so to actually get you towards your career goal?
That's a good one. So as I was also trying, as I mentioned, I was trying to get a practical experience. I needed connection. I didn't have connection. So I worked across so many hospitals, more than 10 in Nairobi, trying to get for a slot for me to get a practical experience. And that practical experience, I had to even pay. So I had to pay for them to admit me. So I really invested a lot, both emotionally and even financially, for me to actually get accepted to get that practical experience.
And for the audience, we don't encourage paying. I think the paying that you're actually talking about is...
No. It was,
The paid internships.
Yeah, paid internships, yes.
All right. So we have your career goal in terms of graduating very well and getting into a good hospital. Sub goal is you want practical experience. And then the action is to walk around and look for an internship. So you know that on a weekly basis, I have to visit X number of hospitals to be able to get there. Fast forward, where you are today, Vicky.
So even after all that investment, Dennis, I didn't end up working in a hospital because I bumped into someone who I would call a mentor today. And I think we'll talk about mentors in our subsequent episodes. So I met this lady and she told me about a different career path, which is sales and marketing of medical devices. And she told me as long as you have a technical background, then you are better positioned than to do sales and marketing of medical devices. And I gave it a shot. And it's been 8 years. Right now, I would say I've really springboard really quick in my career. And I'm a regional manager for 8 countries in East Africa, handling sales and marketing. And that's where I am. So it's been really fast 8 years.
that doesn't sound like mid-level to me, but we are going to get back there. Now, Now, Vicky, I think we were talking earlier in the show. We talked about these countries, 8 countries, and you actually educated me that, actually 8 countries in West Africa.
Yes.
I thought there were 3. That they are different in terms of language and culture. And one of the things that you actually wanted to do in the next 1 year is related to this is different. What would you say your goal is right now?
So when I got my promotion, I figured I had a gap in terms of language. When I go to countries like Djibouti, Rwanda, and Burundi, I sometimes have gap in terms of how we communicate with customers. So then I'm being intentional about learning a new language, which is French. And I have enrolled. I'm yet to start though. I hope you can be my accountability partner here and make sure I actualize this. Yeah, so that's one of the goals that I intend to pursue in the next couple of months.
So you want to, in terms of broad objective, be able to comfortably run at this new scope that you have gotten promoted into. In terms of a sub goal is to learn French. In terms of a specific action, I'd say to enroll for French classes next week, right?
Okay.
Right? All right. So I'm glad that, we have used you and thank you that we're actually using you as an example here. What would you say our audience needs to do in this coming week?
Well, my audience, I think our audience, I would encourage our audience this week to sit down, put together your career goals, both short-term, mid-term, and even long-term. What exactly do you want to achieve? Are you at an early stage of your career? What is it that you want in the next 3 to 5 years or even up to 10 years? Put it down, and that in itself will get you 25% way of actualizing your goals.
Perfect. And I think they still have even time to get to 50.
Yes.
Because there are a couple of months before the end of 2023.
Yes.
So very, very exciting. I look forward to continuing to use you as a guinea pig in a subsequent episode. We're going to be also covering the other aspects, finance, relationships, personal growth, as well as others that you might want. I hope this episode has taught you something new, or at least reminded you of something that you once knew. We're always very excited if you go out and apply it, and let us know what the experience looks like. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn as Dennis Nyanja, Nyanja, or Victorine Ngetich, Ngtich. That is Dennis Nyanja or Victorine Ngetich on LinkedIn. You can also reach out to us on our socials at Saved by Nobel, those are 4 words, Saved by Nobel on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. If you like this episode, please forward it to a friend. And remember to give us a 5-star rating and review wherever you got this podcast from. Hope you've been saved by Nobel, and we'll see you on the next one.